Yeah, Lawrence Hayes again. Talking about my case. I was a member of the Black Panther Party, and this is nice. I joined the Black Panther Party in 1968. In 1970, a cell was put together to try and drive drugs, primarily heroin, out of our community. My cell was responsible for raiding drug drop spots where drugs and money meet at the same time. And we had an informant who had did 5 years in prison and used to be a courier for mafioso families. Having done that, we targeted these drop spots. We would destroy the drugs right in front of them, and we would confiscate the money. And it usually went back into the programs that we had, youth programs, educational, black history, food, breakfast programs, etc., into the programs that the Black Panther Party had. In 1971, we were doing surveillance on one of these places. It was a luncheonette, and you'd be surprised where drugs pass hands.
Yeah.
I'll just leave it at that. But there was a luncheonette in Hollis, Queens, and 2 of my comrades went in to do basically surveillance. We were not planning to do anything but to observe. Two gentlemen got out the car with the traditional shopping paper shopping bag and went in. My 2 comrades went in behind them. Seconds later, I heard gunshots. I ran to the door. As I ran to the door, one of my comrades bumped up against me and fell. I turned around and looked, and this European male in plain in regular clothing was pointing a gun at me. He pitched forward and fell to the ground. I turned around and went to look at the condition of my comrade. As I bent down, the tree exploded. The tree he had fell in front of exploded. I got behind the tree. Having been behind the tree, I was looking at my comrade, but I was under fire. There were many people shooting at me at that point. I was behind this massive tree, but I was looking at my comrade. In that, I was trained. My training said that the cell is the most important thing. When an individual falls, do not stay and get yourself killed or get imprisoned yourself. So what I did, and at this time I did not know anything had anything to do with law enforcement. However, I was also taught that when under fire, fire shot yourself. I reached over, grabbed my comrade's gun, and I fired into the air. First, I had observed my surroundings. There was a shadow. I always look for a shadow. I fired into the air and dashed to the shadow. When I fired into the air, they ducked, of course. And I got to the shadow. And from that shadow, I made it out. I got home when the news came on that morning, said an off-duty police officer had been killed during a robbery. And then my picture and my nephew's picture and another comrade's picture was placed in. They were looking for me. I went underground. A week later, my nephew, I was waiting to rendezvous with my nephew. My nephew was arrested. I saw it on TV. I panicked, and I went down to the Port Authority, and I got on the bus leaving the country, closest Canada. I headed to Canada. While at the Canadian border, an officer asked me if I was on parole because one of the cards inside of on probation. One of the cards inside of my wallet was from probation. At that point, he fed my name into the computer. It came back, arrest this guy pulled a gun on me. I was taken from there to a state trooper barracks in Plattsburgh. I was beaten. I was beaten so mercilessly and so bad. You see, that I was unconscious. I was then brought to LaGuardia Airport and taken to Queens for arraignment. While I was standing there waiting for the judge to say what he had to say, I was kicked. An officer came up behind me and literally kicked me in my eye. That's how it is. I was taken from there. I was charged with the killing of a New York City police officer as an accomplice. I went to trial. I was convicted, and I was sentenced to death. Having been sentenced to death, after a year I was in the death house, the district attorney in my case was disbarred for taking bribes from organized criminals. A year and a half after I was in the death house, the judge in my case was cited in a New Yorker investigative magazine article by Jack Newman as being one of the 10 worst judges in New York State because of his favoritism to organized criminals. It was later learned that the lawyer who was assigned to me was a lawyer who frequented organized crime clients. I was not released because of that. I was released because of Furman versus Georgia, which abolished the death penalty throughout the country, found it unconstitutional. I was released. While I was incarcerated, I earned my master's degree from New York Theological Seminary, and a host of other things. I taught black history. I moved on to become the first vice president of NAACP. I ran the legal redress committee, taught in the law library. I also was an engineer. I worked in plant engineering for many years, building, designing stuff. I got out in 1991 on my first parole board. In 1995, I became a founding member of the campaign to end the death penalty. After that, I was sent back to prison on violation 4 different times. Each time, the violation was reversed simply because they just wanted me to get off the street. Like I said, I'm here today because I know what it's like waiting to die. You see, and I'm here to give my support to Brother Troy Davis. I'm asking everybody, whoever hears this, remember Troy Davis' case and remember what's going on in this case. This brother is innocent. Based upon the legal system, based upon the laws of the legal system, this brother is innocent. He is the poster child of reasonable doubt. As I speak to you today, the Board of Pardons Parole is now reviewing his case for clemency. This brother should have a new trial. As I said before, the reason he's not having a new trial is because of the law that President Clinton put in place, the liberal president, the saxophone, the one we said got sold. Anyway, the Anti-Terrorist Effective Death Penalty Act is unconstitutional. It denies this brother the right to go back and raise issues in the court, although those issues are legitimate. It bars him from going back into the court. It limits his ability to obtain due process of law.
All right, Bubba Hayes.
Brother Bubba Hayes, true hero.
Won't you help to sing these songs of freedom? 'Cause all I ever